Welcome to this episode of Forgiving the Girl Inside, a Matter of the Heart. Today we have a special guest, Alysia Lyons. She is a neurotransformational life coach, and she guides her clients through long-lasting neurological shifts to help ease their guilt and increase their emotional freedom. She is author of the blog, The Mom Support Coach, which focuses on relationships, mom guilt, we all know about that, communication, and lessons she has learned throughout her daily life. So thank you so much for joining us. I think I said your name wrong. I totally apologize. It's Alysia. I want to pronounce every single vowel. I told you I was going to mess up a word somehow.
That's
It's
all
what I
right.
do. It's like my MO. I tell people I'm like Moses, except for the stuttering. I'm like, where's Aaron? I need my speaker.
I butcher people's names on my podcast all the time, so
Yeah.
they're aware.
So we're very graceful, right? As
Right.
long as we're connecting, that's what matters.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing. We talked a little bit beforehand and shared some of the modalities that you use. But tell us, how did you get into coaching, into this specific area as well?
Yeah, so it's kind of part of my story. I was in direct sales. I've been in direct sales for about 10 years, and about I would say a year and a half into my direct sales business, I promoted myself to a sales leader, and I earned a free car with the company. And
Wow.
yeah, I was really proud of it. And I was a new mom. Like I gave birth to my son, and then 19 days later, I gave birth to this unit. And a month after that, I earned a car. And my son's dad, who I was married to at the time, he was deployed for the last 4 months, or the last 2 months of my pregnancy and the first 2 months of my son's life. And so we were together for, I would say I felt happy that first like 6 months of my son's life. And I was adjusting to all of these new things. And I went to a doctor appointment, and the doctor for my son, and the doctor asked, do you feel supported? Do you feel like you're getting enough support as a mom? And I checked yes, even though it was like an emphatic no in my body. And I went home, and I'm pretty sure I picked a fight with my husband. And he said, you know what, I'm done. I want a divorce. And the idea of being a single mom was so bad that I just verbalized, I would rather die, and I want to kill myself. And so we stayed together probably about 8 more months, even though that was the moment that the relationship was really over. It didn't end for another 8 months, but when we split, the next 6 months, during that time, I lost everything that I was proud of. I lost my husband, I lost my car, I lost my unit, and I was proud of being a mom. But until that moment, like during that time, I started feeling like a really bad mom. And so like I was at ground zero. Well, to answer your question, or get to the point of answering your question, I was looking, a couple of years went by, and I was looking to get back into that leadership position, because I was like, well, I want to get back to the place where I was proud of myself again. Right. So
Yeah.
I looked for, or I found on accident, a life coach that catered to the company that I was in. And he created a program called Success and Fulfillment inside the business. And I was like, ooh, success. Yes, I want success, fulfillment, whatever. But like, I want the success. Like, I'm just, please help me get the success. I will try anything. And so I started that program. I signed up for one-on-one coaching to help me with the individual issues. And then probably 3 or 4 months in, my coach said, or I expressed some interest in like doing this. And she said, well, you should take our course. And so I did. And she said, it'll really help you in your business. And really what it did is it helped me out of my business into a new one.
I love that. And you got out of the 9 to 5 into your own entrepreneurship, and now you call the shots. So that's wonderful. Especially being a mom, you can stay home with your kids. You don't have to worry about the daycare issues and all that great stuff that comes with going to 9 to 5. So you started, how did you get specifically into the neurological part of it? Was that the program that you were in and that's what you adopted?
Yeah, that's the program that I was in. Coach Sean Smith created this neurotransformational program, life coaching program, elite coaching certification program that he has. And I fell in love with it so much. I've been, next week, he's doing another course. I'm coming again. This will be my 6th time going, not because I'm a slow learner, but because I love these conversations so much that the more that I can be inside the conversations, the better coach that I become. It just gives me, a different perspective from different people.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Coaches need coaches, mentors need mentors. We're not meant to do any of it alone. And when you have a modality that works, I'm in a few different things. I have a signature program for my healing, but the title of the podcast, Forgiving the Girl Inside, is all about healing your heart, your inner child from past hurts that, we may have had. And we go, some of them go way back from childhood. For me, I was sexually molested from at least the age of 3, maybe younger, I don't know. And then the choices I made, the dysfunctional family that I came in, there was no healthy boundaries. There was a lot of control and stuff. And you don't realize that that's, you're forming your emotional mind. I didn't even know what a feeling was until I was 40. So to have a modality, like if I had the tools I have now that I have learned, like since I was 40 over the last decade, that I had back then, I don't think they were available to us like back in the 70s and the 80s. It was all like talk therapy, like, oh, well, how do you feel about that? And to be able to go back and explore like those events. So you were saying that like you do a writing exercise where you kind of look at, say, from 3 to 7, and then you write out like all of your memories from that age. Is that the modality that you use?
So we actually do, it's related. I think it's related to talk therapy, but it's basically, actually, I was watching a movie about Nietzsche, and inside that movie, he was being counseled by Freud. And I remember in the movie, he says, either like, where does that show up in your body? Or I think it was, where does that show up in your body? And I was like, well, that's what we do, like, but, so basically, you talk about a feeling that you're having, an experience that's disrupting you, and you identify it in the body. So there's, what you said, you didn't feel a feeling until you were 40. So there's a lot of emotion that's trapped in our bodies because we're afraid of them, or we're taught to shut them down. Another part of my story is my brothers said that I was too emotional when I was 4 years old, that, there was a nickname that it's, Alysia who cries all the time. And so I really tried to shut down my emotions, and I succeeded in everything except for the crying part. Like I could never stop myself from crying. And that became a trigger for me when people would tell me, you're too emotional. And I'm like, you have no idea how hard I'm trying to not be emotional right now. Like, you don't even know. So these emotions live in our body because we're swallowing them. And, emotion that's not expressed, where does it go? If it doesn't come out of your body, the only place that it can go is in your body. And so we identify it, like, what does it look like? What is its shape? What is the texture? What's the temperature? And really isolate the emotion. And then, close your eyes, rise up into the clouds, and see the timeline of your life. Like, where does does the timeline go to the left or the right? Or does it go from the front to the back? Like, what direction is it? Now I want you to travel back to the first time that you remember that, you know, I had one client had a flubber shaped emotion. And so we said, when was the first time flubber showed up? You know, I like to name them. It's kind of fun. But when's the first time flubber showed up? And she, you know, went back to that moment. And we don't go into the moment because there can be a lot of fear of re-experiencing it. There's a lot of trauma in some of our moments. But just have a clear picture of where that flubber showed up, and then go 1 hour or more before it to a time where you felt safe, or you felt happy, or you felt something, and then really dive into that moment and let that moment fill up your cells. And then you travel back through the timeline of your life as if that, because that moment was after the previous moment that we just had fill up your cells, it's like that moment never happened. And so it rewires our brain, and you start feeling things differently.
Get a new perspective.
Yeah.
It's similar. Like I was saying earlier, it's similar to the Aroma Freedom practice. So I'm a certified Aroma Freedom practitioner, and we go back, we visit memories. Where do you feel it in your body? You know, what are the thoughts that go with it? What's the one word feeling? And then we use the oils to help accelerate the process. So it's an incredible modality and so powerful. And even like, you know, I tell everybody, you know, the power of pen and paper and your words spoken out loud are incredible for healing. And, you know, when you could grieve what you hid for so long and process it, you can really truly find forgiveness. And we're quick to forgive others when we get on that journey. But when it comes to ourselves, there's that constant beating ourselves up of not forgiving ourselves. So that's a beautiful modality. I love that. So what, if you were to give somebody advice that was going through something similar, what would be the one piece of advice that you'd give them?
I think you just touched on it, that it's the compassion. Like, give yourself the same kind of compassion that you would give to a friend. And the way that we talk to ourselves, we would never talk to another human being that way. And so remember that when you're talking to yourself. Like, I remember when I first became all aware of this kind of thing, that I remember being at my dad's house and I heard him call himself stupid. And it just hurt so bad to hear my dad, who I think is a brilliant man, call himself stupid. And really, it was the thing that he did was stupid, that in his opinion, and that's what he was saying. But he said, I'm so stupid. And those are affirmations. Like, you know, anything that you say I am in front of, like, that's who you are. And so and then I remember getting home and hearing myself say I'm stupid, and I was like, oh, I spent one day at my dad's house and now I'm calling myself stupid. This is crazy. Like, it's just so infectious. And really, and then I heard my son say it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so subconscious. Like, it's just something I grew up with. It was never in my awareness, but it got into my awareness at some point. I heard him say it, then I heard myself say it, and then I heard my son say it. And so it was, I call those the silent cycles. Like, when we're growing up, there's certain cycles that we know are bad and that we want to change when it comes from what our parents did to what we do as parents, right? There's the cycles. Like, mom was an alcoholic, I will not be an alcoholic because I didn't like how that felt. So we change that. But your dad's calling himself stupid, and then you calling yourself stupid, and then your child calling himself stupid, that's a silent cycle that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so true. Our thoughts are so powerful. And, what we believe we receive. And when I hear negative talk, it just, oh, I'm like, stop. Just stop. And I even like our environment. I remember I had a coworker that sat next to me. And, back in the day when we were sitting in the office, you had the partitions. And every morning I'd sit down and he drove me absolutely crazy. We're good friends, but he would make noises. He'd drink his coffee and eat his little whatever he was eating, donut or whatever, and he'd make noises and we'd like, what is wrong with him? Like, why is he doing it? It's so annoying. So I had gone to church before that, and the pastor had given a sermon about if you have like these porcupine people in your life, the people that just make you cringe and you just get so upset with them. He goes, you just got to ask them, ask the Lord to show you them the way He sees them, and it'll change your perspective. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try it, and it works. It's like just
Mhm.
changing your thought process. And it never bothered me. He continued to do it until the day he retired, but it never bothered me again because I changed
Yeah.
my perspective. I changed the
Right.
way I thought about it. And I thought, wow, words are so powerful. And the stupid thing that triggered a memory for me because my dad used to call me stupid all the time. Oh, you're so stupid. And I'd look at him like, I'm not stupid. You're stupid. I was a rebellious child.
Yeah.
I was a very rebellious child. And my parents are divorced, so my stepmom would say, oh, well, he doesn't really mean that. That's just his way of joking. I go, it's not a joke. It's very offensive. And you
Yeah.
don't call people stupid. You have to be kind to people. And he was like, well, I'm not being mean. Like, well, you think it's nice to call somebody stupid? It's not.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
do. We have to be so careful you know, and just watch our thoughts and be careful, guard our thoughts and the words that we share. Well, it was so interesting hearing about what you do. I love that modality. I know the power words are so powerful. So tell us, you have a coaching program. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
So I do one-on-one coaching because I just think that the best healing comes from the one-on-one. Like we can be in a group and we can hear the generalized information, but then it turns into like, but what about me? Like, how does this affect me? Right. And that's how I operate. That's how I've always hired a coach, is as a one-on-one. It's just, to me, there's a different connection. There's a different rapport. Yeah, so I work predominantly with moms. And even though I'm an entrepreneurial mom, I focus more on moms that are single moms that work, or that are stay-at-home moms, or
Okay.
most single moms aren't stay-at-home moms, but like it's not it's because I feel like there's a lot of coaches out there that really focus on entrepreneurial moms, because I'm an entrepreneurial mom. So I know how the struggle of being an entrepreneurial mom, so I can help you. And then I feel like the non-business owners or the stay-at-home moms, they have similar struggles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't see very many people looking at them specifically.
Yeah. So that's what you're helping. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, our stay-at-home moms are very powerful and very strong, and they need support just like everyone else. I think sometimes they get lost because, they might not be as active in the community or online because, their vocation is with their family at home. And a lot of times that didn't get recognized. I think now more so it is being recognized because they do so much, so much. So
And
we thank you for that.
your identity really becomes wrapped up in your kids if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And I really felt lucky because I started my business like 6 months before I got pregnant. So and then inside my pregnancy, I was working towards this goal the whole time. And had I not been working towards a goal, I think that my whole world would have just been wrapped up in, I'm going to be a mom. Like, this is exciting. And how do we do all this? And so because I had this goal, there was more of me filling me instead of my child is now who I am.
Yeah.
And, I haven't experienced that because I experienced what I experienced, but that's what I think is happening is there's, I'm a stay-at-home mom, or I work and I'm carrying this baby and I'm not really passionate about my job. I just do it for the money or whatever. And so there's not, so your mind wanders. That I have experienced.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey and how you started and how you evolved into where you are today. And I love that you got to leave your 9 to 5 and follow your dreams instead of chasing them. So that's amazing that you're living your dream life. So for our listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. You can connect with Alysia. Her links to connect with her will be in the description box, and you can reach out to her directly. And if you know anyone that can benefit from this interview, please share it with them so that they can connect with a coach, connect with a mentor, and start their healing journey. And remember, it's all a matter of the heart.